In the world of nutrition, we have a few paradoxes which I need to explain to you. The first paradox we have is that you can become healthy with an unhealthy diet. You can also become unhealthy with a healthy diet. And how's that? If you end up in a chronic calorific excess, even on a healthy diet, you can become unhealthy because you gain weight. And that applies not to just diet, that also applies if you have chronic stress, if you have chronic poor sleep, if you have chronic increased cortisol levels, and genetic factors and everything else. Equally, on an unhealthy diet, you can become healthy. And that was proven by a professor at a university. He did a McDonald's diet, but he made sure it was a calorie deficit diet. So he would have half a burger, and overall he was having about 1600 calories per day. He lost weight over 2 months just eating McDonald's, and his blood pressure improved, his weight went down, his cholesterol went down as well. So he was eating an unhealthy diet, but because he was in a calorie deficit, he became healthier. Now, it is very difficult to lose weight on an unhealthy diet because these are mostly low satiety, low nutrition, and high calorie density foods. And it is also more difficult to become unhealthy on a healthy diet because these are mostly nutritious, high fiber, high protein, low calorie density, high satiety foods. But it's not impossible. If you design the diet in a way that you eat unhealthy food with a calorie deficit, you can actually become healthier. If you design a diet in a way that you eat low calorie density food, if you eat healthy food in a calorie excess, you can gain weight and you become unhealthy. So that is the first paradox that we're trying to fix. The second paradox we're trying to fix in today is that if you look at the so-called diets, that could be carnivore diet, keto diet, vegan diet, paleo diet, all of these diets are faulty in one way or the other. They all have their weaknesses, but they do lead to weight loss because if you do any kind of restriction, and if you do the restriction for long enough, you will lose weight. The same applies to fasting. If I said to all of you, don't eat after 4 p.m., that's it. Talk's over. You can all go home now. All of you would lose weight. All of you would become healthier just by doing that. But that's not a valid long term strategy. I could sell you the watermelon diet or a juice diet or some kind of other very low calorie kind of way of eating, but that's not a long term strategy. And so, what I want to design here is what's a good long term strategy, a good baseline. The third thing when it comes to weight loss is that one thing I like to say is that no one really gains weight, no one really loses weight. You live a certain lifestyle, and that lifestyle requires a certain number of calories. You could be living a 3000 calorie lifestyle, you could be living a 1,500 calorie lifestyle. If you're living a 1,500 calorie lifestyle, eventually your weight will come down to that lifestyle. If you're living a 4000 calorie lifestyle, eventually your weight will go up to a 4000 calorie